I never really realised I was different as a kid until I hit teenage years, and then suddenly everyone's obsessed with how they look and you have to look a certain way, and fitting in is the only important thing. In Freshers Week, saw all the different, looking around all the different clubs to join, and I saw the climbing club and immediately thought to myself, that sounds equal parts fun and dangerous, I'm in. Climbing is just a sense of community and belonging. It's the place where I feel most at home.
On average, how many people would you see in this climbing gym?
So the amount of people we normally would see in a climbing gym on average could be anywhere from a couple of hundred to 300.
On busy times, I reckon you can get up to 100 people in here, I reckon, depending on the areas that they're in.
And how many of these people are paraclimbers?
I hardly seen any.
Yeah, I was going to say, not
very,
that
very
I've
small
noticed
amount.
before today.
On average, one. Yeah, Bella's the only one that springs to mind.
Meet Isabella Walsh. Age 25, Isabella, or more commonly known by her teammates as Bella, is a paraclimber for Team GB.
I used to sail for a few years, did a few competitions with that, but it wasn't really, I didn't feel like it was particularly going anywhere. Moved down to Southampton for uni to be nearer Weymouth, and then took up climbing instead. I've won every national series and competition basically since 2015. A friend from my uni climbing club said to me, "Oh, Bella, I've just heard of this thing called paraclimbing competitions, you should give them a go next year." And so I did, and then accidentally ended up on the GB team. I've competed in 3 World Championships, and in Innsbruck 2018 I missed out on finals by 1 spot, which was, I don't even know what that was. I don't know how to describe that.
For many athletes, sport can be a way of expressing their abilities. For Isabella Walsh, climbing has allowed that to happen.
She wanted to do everything herself, and I think that's helped her overcome quite a lot of struggles and difficulties that she might have had with the climbing and other things. When she was born, I noticed before the nurse, or the midwife rather, and I thought, oh, she's got a hand awful funny, because it looked like, she's just got the little finger buds, and then the penny dropped, and I told the nurse, I pointed it out to the nurse, and she was absolutely brilliant with us.
If anybody ever said, well, you can't do that, that was the thing she wanted to do. So she, she rode a bike, she played the violin, she was on netball teams and hockey teams, and I don't think there was anything that she ever missed out on just because she only had one hand.
She started climbing at school, and then she asked me one day to take her to a competition in Rochdale. I think it was about maybe 9 or 10 years ago. We drove over, and she met this lovely lady called Audrey, who helped her plan the routes by folding her arm in, so she was only using one arm, and then climbing just 2 feet and one arm. And Bella absolutely loved it. Met a lot of people there, and it kind of led on from that, joining the British team and making some contacts. Just that feeling of pride when she gets to the top or gets as far as she can.
Like any competitive sports, when you're there and you're watching it live, it's really good, it's really exciting, and yeah, we hold our breath and climb with her in our heads anyway.
Today is a very important day as part of Bella's training for the upcoming championships. Bella's travelled to the Boardroom, a climbing centre in North Wales. Here Bella will be top rope climbing, a specific type of climbing that is used in the tournament format of a paraclimbing event.
So there's bouldering, which is shorter climbs, maybe like 3 or 4 meters high, over crash mats with no ropes. And then there's route climbing, so that can be lead or top rope. You've got a rope tied onto you and you're either clipping it as you go up if it's lead, or it's already attached from the top if you're on a top rope. I mostly prefer bouldering, but as our competitions are all on routes, I have been somewhat reluctantly getting myself to get more into climbing on ropes when I can.
She'll be practicing rope climbing alongside her friend, Lucy.
Climbing for me, is everything. It's my motivation to get out of bed, and it's a really good form of physio for me. It's been really helpful in terms of mental health and physical health. Without climbing, I would be a lot weaker. Since climbing over the last year, I've kind of gained mobility back that I shouldn't have, so I can now use my legs a bit more, I can use my hands, whereas before I was climbing, I couldn't do any of that stuff. So it's been nice to have that back. I never really see any other paraclimbers. Usually it's just me, unless I'm going with my little paraclimbing squad of friends. But even then, we're kind of the only ones.
Climbing has just been introduced into the sports world, with it being added to the 2021 Tokyo Olympic Games. Therefore, for paraclimbing to be in the Paralympics, there are certain achievements the sport must make, and not being in the biggest tournament for para-athletes can have an impact on the sport's representation.
Obviously having Bella around the centre, it definitely seems like it's underrepresented if we've only got one climber who I regularly see. In fact, she's the only one that springs to mind, full stop, so yeah.
Climbing in general is definitely getting a lot more representation recently with it being in the Olympics this year, but paraclimbing is still, it's grown a lot even since I started competing. My first year on the team, I think there were 8 of us, and now we're 20 odd.
To be fair, recently it has changed. There are more people that are, we're more open and more welcoming, and society's changed, hasn't it?
Paraclimbing is definitely underrepresented. It would be really nice to see myself when I go into a climbing centre, and it would be nice to see more disabled people in the sport, but it's 100% underrepresented.
Both Lucy and Bella are trying to create more awareness for the sport in hopes that one day it will be in the Paralympic Games.
I run an inclusive paraclimbing club, so I set up Leeds Paraclimbing Club to basically get more disabled people into the sport. In order to do that, I needed to do something, so that led me to setting up the club, and we've now been running 5 weeks, and over the 5 weeks we've had 25 new people start climbing, all with disabilities.
Bella often posts her training on her Instagram where, for a 5-time national champion, only has 1,000 followers.
Obviously very easy to spot, and so someone will be like, "Oh, I know you from Instagram." I'm like, "Oh, hi." That's only happened to me a couple of times because my Instagram is not huge, but even a couple of times is just weird, for someone to be like, "Oh yeah, I recognise you." So we're starting to see a lot of smaller teams of 1 or 2 climbers from countries who'd previously never sent anyone out to paraclimbing comps. So that's been nice to see the sport growing, because obviously we need to hit a minimum number of countries competing before it can even be considered to go in the Paralympics. Occasionally we have had a few sort of sponsors as a team in the past that have meant that we've been supported to go out to a few competitions, but there's been more that we've had to sort of fund ourselves to go out to, which is not so bad when we've got plenty of warning, and then the competition's like a few days over in like France or Austria. That we can do that on a budget pretty easily. In fact, you get very good at booking the trips on a budget, otherwise we just can't go out and compete. Okay, so climbs are graded. You'll start like the very bottom with 1, and then they go all the way up to 9C+ now, which is basically impossible unless you're one specific person who set the route. Most indoor centres, the routes will start at about a 3, maybe like a 2+, and go up to about 8A.
To begin training, Bella will begin on a route graded 6B. Later, Bella will attempt a route graded 6C, a challenge Bella has come up against before. Bella begins the 6B climb. A common term in the climbing world is the word beta. Beta is an important concept that climbers must consider before assessing a climb.
So beta is the sequence that each individual climber uses to get up a bouldering problem. So people are different heights, people have different styles and preferences of climbing, so they might use different holds. So beta is the individual way a person gets up the problem.
Everyone will do routes in a different way. Like a tall person might reach past a certain hold, just go straight around it. A shorter person will have to do some like funky, weird things just to get past a move that someone else found easy. Like I often joke that I get twice as much like climbing for my money because I'm tiny, so everything's like twice as many moves.
The journey for Bella to compete in is a tough process of qualifying for a tournament before she can even think about challenging for the title. Each championship has 2 qualifying routes and a finals route, so Bella must ensure she is well prepared for the upcoming tournament. She reaches the top of the route with ease, a good practice for what lies ahead. Bella is looking ahead to the World Championships later on this year. There she'll compete against other paraclimbers in what will be the toughest tournament of her career.
We've got the World Championships in Moscow in September, but I would like to make finals. So I've never made it into the finals at a World Championships before, and I've been close once before, and it was like equal parts frustrating and like really cool. It's the first time that I'll have been to a competition in Moscow. It's just the fact that it's the World Championships and first one since 2019. Like there's a couple of World Cups this year, but not a lot of countries have been able to go to them. So like this will be my first competition since 2019. It's just a really supportive sport. Everyone's always cheering everyone else on. Everyone wants everyone else to do well. Like whether you're climbing the easiest or the hardest routes in the wall, people will always be rooting for you.
She's got the determination and the ability to do it, and you know it's what she works the hardest at. I think yes, we would have expected her to go as far as she has, because she's got that sort of mentality.
Yeah, to make it onto the podium and in the World Championships would be incredible. Like that would be such an amazing feeling. It's going to be really good to be back. It's going to be really good to just see everyone again, and just making it through to the finals would be just like cherry on top.
Now it's time for Bella to put her training to the test. She'll attempt the 6C Red, a 12-metre route where each move must be planned with detail, and will challenge Bella in her battle to reach the top. Bella edges closer to the top, but begins to struggle further up the route. She tires quickly and struggles to find rhythm. She holds on, hoping to find any last bit of strength, but her body gives in and hurts herself in the process.
I have a terrible habit of putting way too much pressure on myself. Like, it's never pressure from anyone else, it's purely pressure that I've put on myself, which I'm trying to sort of get out of the habit of doing that to an unhealthy level. Obviously, a little bit of pressure on is good. Like, I want to do well. I want to motivate myself to do well, but too much pressure is counterproductive. 2018 World Championships in Innsbruck, the first qualifier route, I'm still not entirely sure what happened, if I got tangled in the twin ropes or if my brain just told me that to make me feel less bad for slipping where I did.
Yes, Bella, come on! That's it, come on! Come on, Bella! Come on, Joe.
I made it to about 4 moves from the top, and if I'd have got either the top on that or about 3 or 4 moves further on the other one, that would have been enough points to have put me into the finals. Not that I still dwell on that at all.
But Bella doesn't give up, and knows the hard work she puts in now will be worth it for the championships.
Climbing is just a sense of community and belonging. It's the place where I feel most at home. Suddenly things that felt impossible are doable.